The recruitment center on Space Station Zenith 7 was busy as usual. Hundreds of aliens from different worlds waited in long lines. They came from all corners of the galaxy, hoping to join the Galactic Coalition. The air smelled like strange spices and metal. Translators buzzed everywhere, turning alien languages into words everyone could understand. Commander Vexlar stood near the scanning station. He was tall and thin, with 6 legs and shiny black eyes. His species looked like giant insects. He had been running this recruitment center for 10 years. Nothing surprised him anymore. Or so he thought. The scanner was a large metal arch. Every recruit had to walk through it. The machine checked their biology, their health, and where they came from. Most recruits passed through without any problems. A green light would flash, and they would move to the next station. A small blue creature walked through. Green light. A tall gray alien with 4 arms went next. Green light. A floating jellyfish-like being drifted through the arch. Green light again. Everything was normal. Everything was smooth. Then Jake Morrison stepped forward. He was human, from a planet called Earth. He looked ordinary enough. Brown hair, average height, wearing simple clothes. He smiled at the other recruits and waved at a small alien child. Jake seemed friendly and relaxed. He had no idea what was about to happen. Jake walked through the scanner arch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the machine started making loud beeping sounds. Red lights flashed everywhere. Alarms screamed through the whole station. Every screen in the building turned bright red. The scanner displayed large words, "Critical warning, Deathworlder detected." The words flashed over and over. Jake stopped walking and looked around, confused. He did not understand what was happening. Commander Vexlar's eyes went wide. His antenna started shaking. He pressed a button on his desk, and heavy metal doors slammed shut over all the exits. Armed security guards rushed into the room from every direction. They carried strange weapons that glowed blue. All of them pointed their guns at Jake. The other aliens in the room started screaming. Some ran to the corners. Others pressed themselves against the walls. A mother grabbed her child and hid behind a bench. Fear filled the air like smoke. Jake raised his hands slowly. His heart was beating fast. He had been a Marine back on Earth, so he knew not to make sudden moves when guns were pointed at him. But he had no idea why this was happening. What was a Deathworlder? Why was everyone so scared? A guard shouted at him in a language he could not understand. Jake's translator had stopped working when the alarms started. He kept his hands up and tried to look calm. Inside, he felt worried and confused. Commander Vexlar spoke into a communication device. His voice was shaking. He was calling for help. Within minutes, more guards arrived. They surrounded Jake in a tight circle. Their weapons never moved away from him. A human woman pushed through the crowd of guards. She had gray hair tied back and wore a white coat with many pockets. Her name was Dr. Linda Hayes. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. She had been working on the station for 3 years. Dr. Hayes looked at Jake, then at the scanner readings. Her face went pale. She pulled out a small device and pointed it at Jake. The device beeped and showed different colors. She checked the results 3 times, as if she could not believe what she was seeing. She turned to Commander Vexlar and nodded. Her voice was quiet, but everyone could hear it in the silent room. The scan is correct. He is from Earth. Class 12 Deathworld. High gravity, extreme weather patterns, hostile ecosystem. His biology matches all the markers. Jake finally spoke. His voice was calm but firm. "Excuse me, but what is a death world? I'm just here to join the coalition. I passed all the tests back on Earth. Nobody said anything about this." Commander Vexlar made a clicking sound with his mouth. It was how his species showed fear. He did not take his eyes off Jake. A death world is a planet where everything tries to kill you. High gravity that would crush most species. Weather that changes without warning. Animals that hunt and kill. Diseases everywhere. Only the strongest survive on such worlds. Jake looked around at all the scared faces. He thought about Earth. Sure, There were storms and wild animals. Yes, people got sick sometimes. But Earth was just normal to him. He grew up there. Everyone he knew grew up there. It was home. He never thought of it as dangerous. Dr. Hayes stepped closer to Jake, though the guards tried to stop her. She was not afraid. She had studied Earth before. Your planet has gravity that is twice as strong as most inhabited worlds. Your bones are incredibly dense. Your muscles are built to work in that gravity. Here, in standard galactic gravity, you are much stronger than you realize. She continued talking, and her voice got more excited as she explained. Your immune system fights off threats that would kill other species in minutes. Your stamina is amazing. You can run for hours. Most species need to rest after just a few minutes. Your body is built for survival in ways that others cannot imagine. A bird-like alien named Kira Thelvon flew down from the upper level. She wore the silver robes of a diplomatic liaison. Her feathers were bright blue and green. She landed gracefully and folded her wings. Her voice was musical but serious. "Commander, we need to handle this carefully. This could become a diplomatic incident. Earth has been applying for coalition membership. If we treat their citizen badly, it will hurt the negotiations." Commander Vexlar made more clicking sounds. He was clearly struggling to decide what to do. The coalition only knows of 3 other Deathworld species. All of them are restricted. They are watched closely. They are limited in where they can go and what they can do. We have rules for good reasons. Jake felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm not a weapon. I'm not dangerous. I'm just a man who wants to serve and explore the galaxy. I can control myself. I won't hurt anyone." Kira looked at Jake with her large, intelligent eyes. "I believe you. But belief is not enough. You must prove it to the coalition. They will want tests. They will want to see that you can work with other species without causing harm." Dr. Hayes nodded in agreement. "There is also the matter of education. Most recruits here have never seen a Deathworlder before. They only know the stories. The legends about beings who can tear metal with their bare hands. Warriors from planets where only the strong survive. You need to show them that humans are more than scary stories." Commander Vexlar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he made a decision. "We will contact the Coalition Council. Ambassador Talreen will decide what happens next. Until then, you will be placed in a secure room. Not a prison, but you will be watched. You will not be allowed to move freely on the station." Jake lowered his hands slowly. He felt tired and frustrated, but he understood. These people were scared. They did not know him. They only saw someone from a dangerous world. He would have to show them who he really was. He would have to prove that being from a death world did not make him a monster. As the guards escorted him away, Jake looked back at the scanning station. Other recruits were still going through. Green lights flashed for each one. Normal. Safe. Expected. He wondered if he would ever get his own green light. He wondered if the galaxy was ready for humans. The door to his temporary room closed with a heavy sound. Jake sat on the simple bed and put his head in his hands. This was not how he imagined his first day in space would go. He came here with dreams of adventure and discovery. Now he was locked in a room, treated like a threat. But Jake Morrison was not the kind of person to give up easily. His time in the Marines taught him patience and determination. If he needed to prove himself, then that is what he would do. He would show them that humans could be trusted. He would show them that being strong did not mean being cruel. He would show them that Deathworlders could be friends, not enemies. The journey was just beginning, and Jake was ready for whatever came next. Jake spent the night in his room. It was comfortable enough, with a bed, a small bathroom, and a window that looked out at the stars. But he could not stop thinking about what happened. He kept replaying the moment when the alarms went off. The fear in everyone's eyes. The guns pointed at him. He had never felt so alone. Morning came quickly. A guard brought him breakfast. The food was strange but edible. Jake ate slowly, trying to stay calm. He knew that getting angry or scared would not help. He needed to be patient and smart. Around midday, The door opened. Dr. Hayes walked in, followed by a tall reptilian alien. The alien had green scales and yellow eyes. He wore a military uniform covered in medals. His presence filled the room with authority. Dr. Hayes spoke first. "Jake, this is Captain Zorn Kellis. He is a senior military officer in the Coalition. He is here to learn more about you and about Earth." Captain Kellis sat down across from Jake. His movements were smooth and careful. When he spoke, his voice was deep and steady. "I have read your file, Jake Morrison. You served in your planet's military. You have combat experience. You volunteered for this recruitment program. Tell me, why do you want to join the Coalition?" Jake thought about the question. He answered honestly. "I want to see the galaxy. I want to learn about other species and other worlds. I want to be part of something bigger than myself. Back on Earth, we just learned that we are not alone in the universe. That changed everything for me. I want to help build bridges between our worlds." Captain Kellis listened carefully. His face showed no emotion. "And you are not afraid? Most species feel fear when they meet aliens for the first time. Yet you seem comfortable here." Jake smiled a little. "I'm nervous, sure. Everything is new and different. But fear? No. I think the galaxy is wonderful. I think all of you are amazing. I just wish you did not think I was dangerous." Dr. Hayes pulled out her scanning device. She showed Captain Kellis the readings. "Look at this. His bone density is 3 times normal galactic standard. His muscle fibers are incredibly efficient. His heart can pump blood even when under extreme stress. His lungs can process air in atmospheres that would poison most species. He is built to survive." Captain Kellis studied the data carefully. "Impressive. Tell me, Jake, what is the gravity on Earth compared to this station?" Jake shrugged. "I was told that Earth has higher gravity. Honestly, I feel lighter here. Like I could jump higher or run faster. It feels good, actually." Dr. Hayes jumped in with excitement in her voice. "That is exactly what makes Deathworlders so unique. What feels normal to you would break the bones of most species. What you consider a light jog would be a full sprint for others. Your casual strength is extraordinary to us." There was a knock on the door. Another human walked in. He was older than Jake, with graying hair and kind eyes. He wore the uniform of a station technician. Dr. Hayes introduced him. "This is Peter Grant. He has been working on this station for 2 years. He is also from Earth." Jake stood up quickly, happy to see another human. Peter smiled and shook his hand. "Welcome to the club. I heard about what happened at the scanner. Pretty scary, right?" Jake nodded. "How did you get through? Did the same thing happen to you?" Peter sat down and sighed. "No, I came here before the scanners were updated. Back then, they did not have the Deathworld detection system. I have been here ever since, trying to prove that humans are not monsters. It has not been easy. I have to be careful about everything I do. I have to control my strength. I have to move slowly so I do not scare people." Captain Kellis leaned forward. "That brings us to the main issue. The Coalition has strict rules about Deathworld species. We have encountered only 3 others. All of them caused problems. One species became aggressive. Another refused to follow our laws. The third isolated themselves and would not work with others." Jake felt frustration building inside him. "But we are not them. Humans are different. We can learn. We can adapt. Give us a chance to prove it." The door opened again. A tall, graceful alien entered the room. She had silver skin and large blue eyes. She wore elegant robes that seemed to shimmer with light. This was Ambassador Talreen, one of the most important diplomats in the Coalition. Everyone stood up immediately. Ambassador Talreen moved with calm authority. She looked at Jake for a long moment, studying him. Her voice was soft but powerful. "I have spoken with the Coalition Council. They are concerned about allowing Deathworlders into our ranks. But they are willing to consider it under certain conditions." Jake waited, holding his breath. "What conditions?" Ambassador Talreen continued. You must complete a trial period. You will train with other recruits. You will work alongside them. You will be watched constantly. If you can prove that you can control your abilities, if you can show that you will not harm others, then the Council will reconsider their position on humans. Not just for you, but for all of Earth. The weight of those words hit Jake hard. This was not just about him anymore. This was about his whole planet. About humanity's future in the stars. If he failed, Earth might never be accepted into the coalition. The pressure was enormous. Dr. Hayes put a hand on his shoulder. You do not have to do this alone. Peter and I will help you. We will teach you about the other species. We will help you understand their fears and concerns. We will be with you every step of the way. Peter nodded. And I can teach you the tricks I have learned. How to move carefully. How to judge your strength. How to make others feel safe around you. It is possible, Jake. I have been doing it for 2 years. Captain Kellis stood up. The trial will not be easy. You will face challenges that test your patience and your control. Some aliens will be afraid of you. Some will be hostile. You will have to prove yourself again and again. Are you ready for that? Jake looked at each of them. He thought about Earth. He thought about all the humans who dreamed of reaching the stars. He thought about the opportunity to show the galaxy what humanity could be. He straightened his shoulders and met Captain Kellis's eyes. I am ready. I will do whatever it takes. I will prove that humans belong here. Ambassador Talreen smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. Good. Your training begins tomorrow. You will join a squad of mixed-species recruits. They do not know you are coming. They do not know you are a Deathworlder. We will see how you handle that revelation. That night, Jake could not sleep. He kept thinking about the next day. He wondered what the other recruits would be like. Would they accept him? Would they run away in fear? He had to find a way to connect with them. He had to show them that despite his strength, despite where he came from, he was not a threat. Peter had given him advice before leaving. Be yourself, but be careful. Show them kindness. Show them patience. Let them see your heart, not just your abilities. That is how you will win them over. Jake repeated those words in his mind. Kindness. Patience. Heart. He could do this. He had to do this. For Earth. For humanity. For the future. As he finally drifted off to sleep, Jake felt something he had not felt since the scanner incident. He felt hope. Tomorrow was a new beginning. Tomorrow, he would start proving that Deathworlders could be heroes, not monsters. The training facility was huge. It had tall ceilings and walls made of some kind of strong metal. Various obstacle courses filled the space. There were climbing walls, balance beams, and areas for combat practice. Groups of recruits were already working when Jake arrived with Dr. Hayes and Peter. A gruff-looking alien stood in the center of the room. He was short and stocky, with thick gray skin and small black eyes. His name was Sergeant Cross, and he was the main training officer. He did not look happy to see Jake. Sergeant Cross walked up to Jake and looked him up and down. So you are the Deathworlder. I heard about you. Let me be clear. I do not like this. I do not think you belong here. But my orders are to train you, so that is what I will do. Just know that I will be watching every move you make. Jake nodded respectfully. I understand, sir. I will do my best. Sergeant Cross pointed to a group of recruits nearby. That is your squad. Go join them. They do not know what you are yet. Try not to scare them too badly. Jake walked toward the group slowly. There were 5 recruits in total. One was a tall, thin alien with purple skin and 3 arms. Another was a small amphibian creature with wet, green skin and huge eyes. There was a floating being that looked like it was made of light. A furry creature with 6 legs stood next to a bird-like alien with bright feathers. They all stopped talking when they saw Jake. The amphibian recruit looked especially nervous. Jake smiled and tried to appear friendly. Hi, everyone. My name is Jake Morrison. I am from Earth. I am glad to be training with you. The purple alien spoke first. His voice was high and musical. I am Ven. This is Plix. He pointed to the small amphibian. That is Lyra, Court, and Zeph. Welcome to our squad. Plix, the amphibian, stepped forward carefully. He barely came up to Jake's waist. His voice was soft and quiet. What species are you? I have never seen anyone like you before. Jake knelt down to be at eye level with Plix. I am human. My species is new to the coalition. We are still learning about everyone. Before anyone could ask more questions, Sergeant Cross called everyone to attention. Listen up. Today we will practice equipment handling and team coordination. Pair up and grab a supply crate from the storage area. Move it to the marked zone on the other side of the room. This tests your ability to work together. Jake paired up with Plix. The little amphibian seemed nervous but willing. They walked to the storage area where large crates were stacked. Each crate had handles on both sides. Plix grabbed one handle and Jake grabbed the other. They lifted together. Jake immediately realized the crate was very light. It felt like lifting an empty box. He had to be careful not to lift his side too high or too fast. Plix struggled on his side, pulling with all his strength. Jake tried to match Plix's pace, moving slowly and carefully. As they walked across the room, Jake noticed he was barely using any strength at all. The reduced gravity on the station made everything feel even lighter. He focused on keeping the crate level so Plix would not struggle more than necessary. They reached the marked zone and set the crate down gently. Plix was breathing hard from the effort. He looked up at Jake with his big eyes. You are very strong. That crate did not seem heavy for you at all. Jake smiled. The gravity here is lighter than what I am used to. Everything feels easier. But you did great. You kept your side steady the whole way. The next exercise involved climbing. There was a tall wall with small handholds. Each recruit had to climb to the top and ring a bell. Jake watched the others go first. They struggled and slipped. Some took several tries. The wall was clearly very difficult. When it was Jake's turn, he approached the wall carefully. He grabbed the first handhold. It crumbled in his grip, breaking into pieces. He had squeezed too hard without meaning to. The other recruits gasped. Jake felt embarrassed. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. Sergeant Cross walked over, frowning. See? This is what I was worried about. You do not know your own strength. You could hurt someone. You could break important equipment. Jake took a deep breath. Let me try again. I will be more careful. He moved to a different section of the wall. This time, he barely touched the handholds. He used just his fingertips, applying the smallest amount of pressure. He climbed slowly and carefully. Each movement was controlled and precise. He reached the top and rang the bell gently, afraid he might break it too. The other recruits watched in silence. Jake climbed back down the same way. When he reached the bottom, Plix clapped his small hands. That was amazing. You made it look so easy. The training continued for hours. Jake learned to be gentle with everything. He learned to judge his strength. He learned to move slowly and deliberately. It was harder than any physical challenge he had faced before. Controlling his power took more effort than using it. During a break, Danny Foster arrived. He was a human engineer who worked on the station. He brought Jake some special equipment. These gloves have sensors. They will beep if you are applying too much pressure. They will help you learn control faster. Jake put on the gloves and thanked Danny. With the gloves, he could practice handshakes with the other recruits. The sensors beeped the first few times, warning him he was squeezing too hard. But after a while, he got better at it. He learned exactly how much pressure was safe. The next day brought a more serious challenge. The squad was running through an obstacle course that simulated an emergency evacuation. They had to work together to get everyone through safely. Halfway through the course, Plix slipped and fell from a high platform. He cried out in pain. Jake ran to him faster than anyone else could. Plix was holding his leg. Green blood seeped through his fingers. Jake's marine training kicked in immediately. He assessed the injury quickly. It was not life-threatening, but Plix needed help right away. Jake gently moved Plix's hands away to see the wound. His large human hands were steady and careful. He pulled out a medical kit from his belt. With precise movements, he cleaned the wound and applied a bandage. His fingers, which could crush metal, worked with incredible delicacy. Every movement was gentle and controlled. Plix looked up at Jake with gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you. That hurt badly, but you made it better." Nicole Barnes, the human medical officer, arrived to check on Plix. She examined Jake's work and nodded with approval. "Excellent field dressing. You may have saved him from infection. Amphibian species are very sensitive to contamination." The other recruits saw everything. They saw how gentle Jake had been. They saw how he helped without hesitation. Ven, the purple alien, spoke quietly to the others. "Maybe we judged him too quickly. He could have let Plix fall. He could have been rough. But he was kind." That evening, the squad sat together in the cafeteria. For the first time, they invited Jake to sit with them. They asked him questions about Earth. They wanted to know about his planet, his culture, his people. Jake answered every question honestly and openly. Plix, with his leg now properly bandaged, leaned against Jake. "You are not scary. You are nice. I am glad you are in our squad." But the biggest test was still to come. Late that night, alarms rang through the training facility. There was a real emergency. A hull breach in the training section. Air was escaping rapidly. Everyone needed to evacuate immediately. Jake and his squad ran toward the emergency exits. But they found Court, the furry six-legged recruit, trapped behind a heavy bulkhead door. The door was slowly closing due to the automatic safety system. Once it sealed, Court would be trapped in the section that was losing air. Without thinking, Jake ran to the door. He grabbed the edge with both hands and pulled. His muscles strained. The door was designed to be impossible to open by hand. It weighed more than a vehicle. But Jake was not from a normal world. He was from Earth. The door started to move. Inch by inch, Jake forced it open. His face turned red with effort. Sweat poured down his forehead. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Court's life depended on him. Court scrambled through the opening. As soon as he was clear, Jake let the door go. It slammed shut with a thunderous boom. The automatic seal engaged, preventing more air loss. Jake fell to his knees, breathing hard. His hands were cut and bleeding from the metal edge, but he was smiling. Everyone was safe. Nicole Barnes rushed over to treat his hands. She worked quickly, cleaning and wrapping his injuries. As she worked, she noticed something. "Your cuts are already starting to heal. I can see the tissue repairing itself. Your healing factor is incredible." The squad gathered around Jake. They did not look afraid anymore. They looked grateful. Court touched Jake's shoulder with one of his paws. "You saved my life. You risked yourself for me. That makes you more than a squad mate. That makes you family." Even Sergeant Cross approached. His expression had changed. He did not look angry anymore. He looked thoughtful. "Maybe I was wrong about you, Morrison. Maybe being strong is not the same as being dangerous. Maybe what matters is how you use that strength. You passed the test today. All of you did." That night, Jake lay in his bed with bandaged hands. They throbbed with pain, but he did not mind. He had proven something important today. He had shown that Deathworlders could protect others. He had shown that strength without cruelty was possible. He had shown that humans could be trusted. As he drifted off to sleep, he knew that the hardest challenges were still ahead. But now he would face them with his squad by his side. He was not alone anymore. News of Jake's actions spread quickly through the station. The story of the human who held open a bulkhead door traveled from one species to another. Some were impressed. Others were more afraid than before. A being that strong was either a great protector or a terrible threat. Everything depended on perspective. 3 days after the hull breach incident, Eric Wade arrived at the station. He was a human diplomat who had been working in coalition space for several years. He was thin and wore formal clothes. His gray hair was neatly combed, and he carried himself with quiet authority. He requested a meeting with Jake immediately. They met in a private conference room. Eric sat across from Jake and studied him carefully. I have been following your progress, Jake. You have done well so far. But I need to prepare you for what comes next. The Crawler have heard about you. Jake frowned. Who are the Crawler? Eric pulled out a datapad and showed Jake an image. The Crawler were massive creatures. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with thick muscles and armor-like skin. They had 4 arms and faces that looked fierce and battle-ready. The Crawler are a warrior species. They value strength above all else. They have heard that a Deathworlder is training here, and their leader, War Master Drex, sees this as a challenge. Jake felt his stomach tighten. What kind of challenge? Eric sighed. Drex wants to test human capabilities. He has demanded a combat trial. 3 of his best warriors against you. Non-lethal combat, but still very dangerous. The Coalition is reluctant to refuse because the Crawler are important allies. They control several key trade routes. Jake leaned back in his chair. So I have to fight. I have to prove myself again? Eric nodded. I am afraid so. But you will not go in blind. I have been studying Crawler culture for years. I can teach you about their fighting style, their honor codes, their weaknesses. And we have another advantage. Lisa Chen is here. She is one of our best intelligence officers. She has information on the 3 champions you will face. Over the next few days, Jake trained harder than ever. Eric taught him about Crawler customs. In their culture, showing mercy to a defeated opponent was a sign of true strength. Killing when you could choose not to kill was considered the highest honor. Eric also explained that Crawler respected clever tactics more than raw power. Lisa Chen arrived with detailed files on the 3 champions. She was young but sharp-minded. She spread out holographic images of the warriors. The first champion is Grak. He is huge, even by Crawler standards. He relies on overwhelming force. But he is slow and he gets tired quickly. If you can outlast him, you win. She pointed to the second image. This is Vorn. He fights like a berserker. He gets stronger as the fight goes on, feeding on his own rage. But he loses focus. If you stay calm and use strategy, you can outsmart him. The third image showed a slightly smaller Crawler with intelligent eyes. And this is Thrak, the current champion. He is smart, fast, and experienced. He has never lost a fight. You will need everything you have learned to beat him. The day of the combat trial arrived. A special arena had been set up in the main hangar. Hundreds of beings from different species gathered to watch. Some came out of curiosity. Others came hoping to see the Deathworlder fail. Jake's squad sat in the front row, nervous but supportive. War Master Drex entered the arena first. He was the largest Crawler Jake had ever seen. His 4 arms were covered in scars from countless battles. His voice boomed through the space. Today we test the human. Today we see if Deathworlders are worthy of respect or if they are just another weak species hiding behind scary stories. Jake walked to the center of the arena. He wore simple training clothes. No armor. No weapons. Just himself. The crowd murmured. Some thought he looked small compared to the Crawler. Others noticed the calm confidence in his walk. The first champion, Grak, stomped into the arena. The floor shook with each step. He roared and beat his chest with all 4 arms. The sound was deafening. Jake did not flinch. He had faced fear before. He knew how to control it. The match began. Grak charged forward like a freight train. Jake dodged to the side at the last second. Grak crashed into the wall behind where Jake had been standing. The impact left a dent in the metal. The crowd gasped. If that hit had connected, it would have been devastating. Jake did not fight back immediately. Instead, he kept moving. He made Grak chase him around the arena. Each charge missed. Each attack hit empty air. Grak was getting slower. His breathing became heavy. His movements less precise. After several minutes, Grak was exhausted. He bent over, trying to catch his breath. Jake saw his opening. He moved in quickly and used a simple wrestling technique. He got behind Grak and applied a sleeper hold. It was not about strength. It was about technique and leverage. Within seconds, Grak was unconscious but unharmed. Medical staff rushed in to check on Grak. He woke up confused but unhurt. Jake helped him stand, showing respect. The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered. Others seemed disappointed that the fight ended so quickly. The second champion, Vorn, entered with fire in his eyes. He had watched the first fight. He was angry and determined not to lose the same way. The match started immediately. Vorn attacked with wild fury. His four arms moved like weapons. Jake had to focus completely to dodge and block. Vorn's style was different from Grak's. He did not tire quickly. Instead, he seemed to get faster and stronger as the fight continued. His attacks became more aggressive. Jake realized he could not wait this one out. He needed a different strategy. Jake remembered Lisa's advice. Vorn loses focus when he gets angry. Jake started talking during the fight. He kept his voice calm and casual. You are pretty good. But you telegraph your left hook. I can see it coming every time. Vorn roared in anger. He threw a wild left hook, exactly as Jake predicted. Jake ducked under it and countered with a precise strike to Vorn's midsection. The blow was perfectly placed, hitting a nerve cluster. Vorn's legs gave out and he collapsed. Again, Jake helped his opponent up. Vorn looked at him with new respect. You fight with your mind as much as your body. That is rare among warriors. Now came the final challenge. Thrak, the champion, entered the arena. Unlike the others, he did not roar or posture. He simply walked calmly to the center and studied Jake with intelligent eyes. This one would be different. This one would be hard. The match began slowly. Both fighters circled each other, looking for openings. Thrak moved with surprising grace for someone his size. He did not waste energy on flashy attacks. Every movement had purpose. Every strike was calculated. They exchanged blows carefully. Jake blocked a punch and countered. Thrak deflected and struck back. It was like a chess match with their bodies. Each fighter trying to outsmart the other. The crowd watched in tense silence. The fight went on longer than the previous two combined. Both fighters showed signs of fatigue. Jake's training on Earth had built incredible endurance, but Thrak was also remarkably fit. Neither would give up easily. Then Jake noticed something. Thrak favored his right side slightly. An old injury perhaps, or just a habit. It was a tiny weakness, but it was there. Jake adjusted his strategy. He started targeting the left side, forcing Thrak to defend with his weaker side. Thrak realized what Jake was doing. A smile crossed his face. Clever. Very clever. He adapted his defense, but it was clear the fight was turning. Jake pressed his advantage without being cruel. He did not try to hurt Thrak. He just slowly wore down his defense. Finally, Jake saw his moment. He feinted left, then struck right. The move caught Thrak off balance. Jake swept his legs and brought him down. He could have continued the attack, but instead he stepped back and offered his hand. Thrak looked at the offered hand for a long moment. Then he took it. Jake pulled him up easily. The arena exploded with noise. Some aliens cheered. Others seemed shocked. The Crawler delegation sat in stunned silence. Warmaster Drex stood up slowly. He walked down to the arena floor. Jake tensed, unsure what would happen next. Drex approached and stared at Jake for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He placed all four of his hands on Jake's shoulders. It was a Crawler gesture of the highest respect. You fight with honor. You show mercy when you could show cruelty. You use your mind as well as your strength. These are the marks of a true warrior. The Crawler respect you, human. We would be honored to call your species allies, not enemies. The Crawler delegation stood and saluted. Other species in the crowd followed suit. Jake had done more than win 3 fights. He had changed minds. He had shown that Deathworlders could be noble and trustworthy. Later that evening, Captain Ryan Walsh arrived at the station. He was a human fleet officer with important news. He found Jake celebrating quietly with his squad. Captain Walsh's expression was serious but excited. Jake Morrison, I bring word from Earth. Our planet has formally petitioned for full coalition membership. Your actions here have made a significant impact on that decision. You have shown the galaxy what humans can be. Jake felt the weight of those words. Everything he had done, every challenge he faced, had been leading to this moment. Earth was one step closer to joining the galactic community, and he had helped make it possible. As he looked around at his squad, at the friends he had made, he realized something important. Being a Deathworlder was not about being feared. It was about being strong enough to protect those who needed protection. It was about using power responsibly. It was about building bridges instead of walls. The real trial had never been about combat. It had been about proving that strength and kindness could exist together. And Jake had passed that test. The Coalition Council chamber was enormous. It looked like an ancient amphitheater with seats rising in circles around a central platform. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the chamber. Each one wore the colors and symbols of their home world. The air buzzed with translation devices working overtime to convert countless languages into something everyone could understand. Jake stood on the central platform with Ambassador Talreen beside him. He wore a simple but formal uniform that Dr. Hayes had helped him pick out. His hands were sweaty, but he kept them still at his sides. This was the moment that would decide everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. Senator Vixral rose from his seat. He was a tall, thin alien with silver skin and eyes that seemed to see everything. He had been the loudest voice against human membership. His voice echoed through the chamber. We are here to discuss Earth's petition for coalition membership. But before we vote, we must address the elephant in the room. Humans are Deathworlders. Every other Deathworld species we have encountered has caused problems. Why should humans be different? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many species nodded. Jake felt his heart sink, but Ambassador Talreen touched his arm gently. She stepped forward to speak. I understand your concerns, Senator. They are valid based on past experiences. But I ask you to consider what we have witnessed these past weeks. Jake Morrison has proven that humans can control their abilities. He has shown compassion, intelligence, and honor. Another representative stood up. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles. But one human is not enough evidence. How do we know the rest of their species will be the same? How do we know they will not become aggressive once they have power in the coalition? Jake raised his hand, asking permission to speak. Ambassador Talreen nodded. Jake took a deep breath and addressed the council. May I say something? I know I am just one person. I know my actions alone cannot prove what all humans are like. But I can tell you about my people. We come from a hard world. That is true. We have faced dangers and challenges that would destroy other species. That is also true. But those challenges taught us something important. He paused, choosing his words carefully. They taught us to value life. They taught us to protect the weak. They taught us that survival means working together, not fighting each other. Yes, we are strong. Yes, we can be dangerous. But we choose not to be. We choose to use our strength to help others. That is what makes us human. That is what I hope to prove to you. The doors at the back of the chamber opened. Troy Miller walked in. He was a human cultural ambassador with kind eyes and a warm smile. He carried a large case. Troy had been working for years to help other species understand humanity. He bowed respectfully to the council. Forgive my interruption. I bring examples of human culture. I believe they will help answer your questions about who we are. Troy opened the case and pulled out various items. He showed them human music, art, and literature. He played recordings of symphonies and folk songs. He displayed paintings and sculptures. He read poetry and passages from great books. Each example showed human creativity, emotion, and depth of thought. Many council members leaned forward with interest. They had expected weapons and war machines. Instead, they saw beauty and expression. Troy's voice was gentle but passionate. This is who humans are. We are not just warriors and survivors. We are artists and dreamers. We are philosophers and scientists. We feel deeply. We love fiercely. We create constantly. Our strength is just one small part of who we are. Kate Sullivan entered next. She was a human scientist with sharp intelligence and boundless energy. She carried a data pad filled with information. With the Council's permission, I would like to share some of humanity's contributions to science and medicine. In the few years since we discovered we were not alone, human researchers have already made breakthroughs that benefit multiple species. She displayed holographic images showing new medical treatments, engineering solutions, and scientific discoveries. Human adaptability means we see problems from different angles. Our immune systems have led to new vaccines. Our engineering, developed for our harsh world, has applications across the galaxy. We have much to offer, if you will let us. Senator Vixrau looked thoughtful but not convinced. These are impressive, I admit. But membership in the coalition means more than sharing art and science. It means military cooperation. It means having access to our most sensitive information. How can we trust Deathworlders with such things? Admiral Helen Price stood up in the gallery. She was the first human to achieve coalition flag rank through years of proving herself. She had gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen many battles. Her voice carried authority that came from experience. Senator, I have served alongside coalition forces for 5 years. I have fought beside your soldiers. I have bled beside them. I have saved their lives, and they have saved mine. Trust is not given. It is earned, and humans are willing to earn it. Before anyone could respond, an urgent alert sounded through the chamber. An aide rushed in and whispered to the council leader. The leader's face showed concern. Everyone, we have an emergency. Pirates are attacking a colony transport ship. It carries civilians from multiple species. The ship is damaged and cannot fight back. They are calling for help, but the nearest coalition patrol is hours away. Admiral Price checked her data pad quickly. My ship is in orbit, but we are preparing for a diplomatic ceremony. We cannot launch immediately. The leader looked around desperately. Is there anyone closer? Jake stepped forward. My training squad is running exercises near that sector. We have a small ship. We are not fully trained, but we can help until the patrol arrives. Senator Vixrau objected immediately. You want to send untrained recruits, including a Deathworlder, to handle a crisis? That is madness. Jake met his eyes firmly. Those people will die if nobody helps them. We can be there in minutes. We might not be perfect, but we are all they have. Please, let us try. The council leader made a quick decision. Go. But understand that the galaxy is watching. This will determine Earth's fate one way or another. Jake and his squad rushed to their ship. Plix, Ven, Court, Lyra, and Zeph were already preparing. They had heard about the emergency. Court looked at Jake with determination. We trained for this. We can do this together. The ship launched immediately. The flight was tense and fast. When they arrived at the scene, they saw the transport ship surrounded by 3 pirate vessels. The transport's hull was damaged and leaking atmosphere. Escape pods floated in space, but many civilians were still trapped inside. Jake took command naturally. Ven, can you jam their communications? Plix, calculate the safest approach. Court, prepare the rescue equipment. Lyra and Zeph, you are with me for the boarding operation. Everyone moved quickly, trusting each other completely. Their small ship was more maneuverable than the pirate vessels. They used that advantage, darting between the larger ships. Ven's jamming worked perfectly. The pirates could not coordinate their attacks. The squad ship latched onto the damaged transport. Jake, Lyra, and Zeph boarded the transport. Inside was chaos. Smoke filled the corridors. Civilians huddled in corners, terrified. Some were injured. Jake's marine training kicked in. He organized the evacuation quickly and efficiently. Lyra used her medical knowledge to stabilize the wounded. Zeph, with his ability to float, reached civilians trapped in hard-to-access areas. The pirates realized what was happening and tried to board. Jake positioned himself at the entrance. When the first pirate came through, Jake disarmed him with a quick, precise movement. No unnecessary force. No cruelty. Just enough to stop the threat. Other pirates hesitated, seeing how easily their companion was defeated. Back on the squad ship, Court had an idea. He used the ship's tractor beam in an unconventional way, pulling debris into the path of the pirate vessels. It created a barrier that bought precious time. Plix calculated the perfect moment to break away. Ven kept the jamming active. All the civilians were evacuated safely. Not a single life was lost. As their ship pulled away with the rescue pods in tow, Coalition patrol ships arrived and drove off the pirates. The squad had done the impossible. They had saved everyone. When they returned to the station, the entire Coalition Council was waiting. Senator Vixral stood at the front. His expression had changed completely. He looked at Jake and his squad with something new in his eyes. Respect. I watched the entire rescue operation. I saw how you worked together. I saw the human lead with wisdom, not force. I saw all of you risk your lives for strangers. I saw what the Coalition is supposed to be. He turned to the Council. I withdraw my objection to Earth's membership. If this is what humans are capable of, then we need them. We need their strength, yes, but more importantly, we need their heart. We need their courage and their compassion. The Council leader called for a vote. One by one, representatives stood and voted yes. The motion passed overwhelmingly. Earth was granted provisional membership in the Galactic Coalition. The chamber erupted in applause. Jake felt tears in his eyes, but he smiled. Plix hugged his leg. Ven clapped him on the back with all three arms. His squad surrounded him, celebrating together. They had done it. Not alone, but together. That was the real lesson. A few weeks later, Jake graduated at the top of his class. He was assigned to the first mixed-species ship with a human crew. Admiral Price would command, and Jake would serve as her executive officer. It was a huge responsibility, but he was ready for it. On his last night at the station, Jake stood at the window looking out at the stars. Dr. Hayes found him there. She stood beside him quietly for a moment. "You did it, Jake. You changed everything." Jake shook his head. "We did it. Not just me. My squad. Peter. You. Eric. Troy. Kate. Admiral Price. Everyone who believed that humans could be more than our worst fears. Everyone who gave us a chance." Dr. Hayes smiled. "What will you tell other humans when you go back to Earth? What lesson did you learn here?" Jake thought about everything that had happened. The scanner alarm. The fear in people's eyes. The trials and challenges. The friendships formed. The lives saved. He thought about what it meant to be a Deathworlder. "I will tell them that being strong is not the same as being dangerous. I will tell them that our power is a gift, but only if we use it to protect others. I will tell them that we can be both warriors and peacemakers. That is what makes us human." Earth began official training programs to help humans understand their role in the galaxy. Other species came to Earth to learn about human culture. Slowly, fear turned into curiosity. Curiosity turned into understanding. Understanding turned into friendship. The term Deathworlder did not disappear, but its meaning changed. It no longer meant dangerous or frightening. It meant strong and reliable. It meant someone who would stand between the weak and danger. It meant protector. It meant friend. Years later, Jake would command his own ship. He would lead missions across the galaxy. He would save countless lives and prevent wars. But he never forgot that first day at the scanner. He never forgot the fear he saw. And he never stopped working to prove that humans deserved their place among the stars. The galaxy learned an important lesson through Jake Morrison and all the humans who followed him. Strength without compassion is tyranny. Compassion without strength is weakness. But when the two come together, when power is guided by kindness and protected by courage, that is when true heroism emerges. That is when Deathworlders become the best protectors the galaxy has ever known. That is when humanity showed the universe not just what they could do, but who they chose to be. And in the end, that choice made all the difference.